you will know if physically things are working out if both sides are equally initiating it.
I'm telling you, man, you're living in a delusional world. Cash, this guy thinks when his girl is going through her period, does she still have to initiate 50-50? Or during that time, she has to make up back. So you ask 10 more times, then she has to ask you 20 more times when she's off her period.
100%.
Man.
Kinks.
What up, party people?
What up, what up?
What up, JR? What up, Cash? What up, Uncle Sammy? I'm your co-host, Jace. We got my main man to the right, the A-lister, the leading actor in the drama series, the one and only Mr. JR.
What up, y'all?
We got the one who stacked the bills in the back, the sweet but sometimes salty Cash Money Linda. We got the one in the cloud, the infamous Prince of Dubai, Uncle Sammy.
What up, Sammy?
Cash, you're not in a little bit I kind of feeling today?
I love the vibes.
Love the vibes. Not
like
Jamaica. Not Trail Mystic. I had to say that one. Folks, we're not here to play nice. We're here to have a good time and have a favorite. Let me start this over again. Folks, we're not here to play nice. We're here to ignite fires and have a good time with our friend, Mr. Crown Royal. Mr. JR, tell him what we're drinking.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are drinking on Crown Royal's finest blend. Whether you're kicking back on your back deck, maybe flipping a few burgers on the barbecue, or maybe you're just chilling with some friends watching some NBA playoff games, you need to be sipping on Crown Royal Vanilla. Whether it is on the rocks with ice, or maybe mixed with some Coke or ginger ale, without a doubt, it tastes and go down oh so smooth. Check for Crown Royal Vanilla in your local liquor store.
Boom, 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 boom. Players, we everywhere, peeps. On our socials, catch us on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, at the handles The Laugh Kings. For all those audio heads, we on Spotify, we on Castbox, and soon to be on Apple Podcasts. Search The Laugh Kings for anything and everything about house. We are in direct.me/Laugh Kings. Please subscribe, please like, please comment. Thank you, subscribers. We're growing slowly, but we definitely growing. Please subscribe to us. Check it out on the bottom of the screen.
Yes, sir.
Woo. Woo. Raise your glasses. I'm going to let you do this one now.
All right.
Since you put me under the blast.
All right, this one's for y'all. I'm not above you. I'm not below you. I'm right here with you. Cling.
This guy's going to get his head punched. All right, folks.
Drop a comment below if I did do a good impression of Jace right there. I think I did A1.
He sucked, man. Ain't nobody like you. All right. We got to give credit where credit's due. Royalty-free music. This here is another great one. I'll put the description in below. We rocking here with the Rastafarian of Jamaica. Royalty-free.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But before we get started, we would like to give out shout-outs. Let's big up Shensia.
As always.
As always.
Hi, Shensia.
You keep doing what you're doing, girl. We like to shit one more time on Diddy. Diddy, you a beach.
Yep.
Ryan Clark, big up to you again. Only man to have balls to stand up to y'all. But what are we going to talk about today, man? How y'all doing before we get started? JR, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Weather's nice. Sun is shining. It's beautiful. Oh, man. Just loving the vibes, man. Cannot complain.
Whoa. Yes. Cash, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm okay. I asked him how he's doing. I'm doing okay.
How are you?
I wasn't going to ask, but...
Do anything special yesterday? weekend?
Just chilling, cleaning.
Cleaning, chilling. That's a good girl
Boring.
right there.
More like boring.
Oh crap! Uncle
All
Sammy,
right.
how was your day? How was your weekend?
Good. Good. I'm excited to be there next week in person. So
Ooh.
Ooh, it's gonna be a
very
good
happy.
pod.
Oh yeah. Stay tuned for that.
What we got on the lineup, man?
But before, how are you doing, Jace?
I am doing amazing. Summer is here. I feel it. We got good drinks. Oh, check out our new cups.
Mm-hmm.
We got nice drinks. We're gonna open the blackberry soon.
Ooh.
I'm gonna let you know how that is. Crown Royal. Remember us when we blow up. No, I'm doing well, man. I am doing really well. Can't
Nice.
complain about life. Life is beautiful. Everything's beautiful. You're beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries.
Glad you're doing well. Don't care, but I'm glad you're doing well. No, I'm kidding. Well, we got a jam-packed pod today.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's get into some little relationship 101 since we are the relationship gurus. All right. So I got a question for y'all. This is a question that has come up, and I thought it's only right to do it justice and discuss it on the pod. Straightforward, very simple. Do you guys think it is right for a man and woman in their relationship to go 50-50 on everything? That includes bills, that includes payments, that includes whatever you guys
What's the
split.
difference between bills and payments, sir?
I don't know. Okay, how about let's talk about groceries. Let's whatever you're forking out money for. Do you guys believe it is right for the partners to split it down the middle 50-50?
Is it also 50-50 like in physicalities?
Expound.
Initiating 50-50?
Yeah, is it obligated?
It could go for Do you
want to start with that one? Let's start with that one. I want to hear your perspective, Cash, but I think I want to hear Uncle Sammy because he's all the way enjoying life in Jumeirah Island in Dubai. Uncle Sammy, what do you think about that 50-50? About the initiation part of the physicality?
On the
relationship?
initiation part?
Yeah, man.
Well, and you're talking about like physical?
Yeah, and we're not talking about man and man, it's woman and man. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, I think it depends, right? Because you want it to be 50-50, obviously, because if it's only one person initiating it, then it's probably not a good relationship. So I think ideally you want the female to be initiating it a little bit more because that tells you that the man is doing a good job of making her get into the mood.
Cash?
Because
I
think as a
and how
man,
would you
you're
respond?
always in the mood. Right? Like
You're in the mood if you have a flu, if you have diarrhea.
Oh shoot.
You got 10 more minutes?
That's a good pod question.
Okay.
I like Sammy's I like his answer. But I have a question. Is it set in stone where it's obligated that we've decided it has to be 50-50?
That's the question. Should it be 50-50?
I don't know. Personally, for me, I think it should be 50-50. But I don't think it's something that should be like obligated. I mean, if you want to do 50-50, whether that's if you want to match your partner, you should be okay in doing it and not pressured to do it.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Like obligated to do it. So I believe that yes. I think 50-50 is definitely in a relationship is worth having. It makes each other understand the balance of the relationship.
Okay.
Okay.
And it just shows that, you know, you don't want your partner to just carry the burden on his back. You want to help him, right? Versus having one person just providing in the relationship. Now, for other women, they'll probably be like, well, my man has to be a provider. It shouldn't be a 50-50, right?
Hold on, we talking about the money or are we talking about the initiation?
I think everything.
I want to circle back to the initiation part because I want to get your answer on that.
Okay, go. But yeah, I'll just say that I would stick to that. I think, yes, 50-50 in a relationship is worth having.
Okay. Is that reality? What's your thought?
It's well, to answer your question there, it is reality in some worlds and not
Right.
others. But speaking on the initiation aspect, I think most definitely,
Okay.
and it should be 50-50, but I'm speaking on the initiating of physicality.
Right.
Okay?
Sex.
Yes.
Okay.
It should be 50-50. It shouldn't always be one person always having to have that conversation. Hey, you sleep? Wake up. No. I think it should go both ways, honestly. It can't be specifically either the man always bringing it up or the woman that's always bringing it up. Because to me, that looks like one of the partners is lacking some sort of interest. Right? I think so.
I think you guys are totally wrong. You're missing the point here, man. 50-50. What ideal world is 50-50? Am I going to be as horny as my wife every time? What if you have different sex drives?
True.
Do you expect someone to, or a girl, to always initiate to you? Sometimes the woman wants to be wanted. And that's part of the chase.
Yeah, but I think at some point,
man, stand up.
No, because
let me hear it, man.
I think at some point, if you're always running and you're always chasing, eventually you're gonna get tired. And eventually,
that's a man. That's a man. Be a man. Chase. Take what you want.
Well, no, I can't, because again, if I'm the one that's always bringing it up, I'm always initiating it, I'm the one that's starting that conversation. At some point, I gotta ask myself, well, hey, if my partner has a hormonal imbalance, then we gotta regulate that.
How do you regulate that? You think you go to pills to go to the doctor and say they regulate it? It takes years to regulate it if you can regulate it.
True.
Women go through different phases of their life. Their body changes.
True, but I think at the same time, though, if we're trying to do what we got to do to, perform and enjoy, one of the benefits of being in a relationship, which is, sharing that passionate, what's going on in the bed. I think at the same time, if you're always chasing, eventually you're going to ask yourself, like, am I the only one that's in it for this, or is it a two-way street?
I get your point, but I think you're totally wrong. Y'all not living in reality. You can chase, you can initiate, but if you're rejected, that is the difference in my eyes. Because some women like to be chased. Some women like to feel the object of whatever, like they're a candy bar or something like that. They want to feel that way.
Okay.
If they reject you, that's a different conversation.
True.
If they're not having fun, you would know. It's not necessarily the rejection or they're initiating. You would know when you're together if there is actually an issue, right? You would know if they're into it, if they're not into it. This is whatever, but nah, man, it can't be 50-50. Life ain't 50-50, and I've learned if you set up expectations on someone, that's where they let you down.
Okay. How about this? When you get into that relationship, I'm pretty sure at some point that conversation will come up, right? You talk about your boundaries, what you're going to do, what you're not going to do, whatever the case may be. But are you having that conversation in the beginning and saying, hey, look, you got to initiate it just as much as I got to initiate it? Or are you saying, don't worry, babe, I'm going to be the one chasing you. I'm going to be the one doing everything.
To me, it's not a conversation. It's how you naturally are together. Like, I'm not going to go and tell a girl I'm with, why are you not initiating? Why are you not initiating?
Yeah.
If it's a problem, then it's a problem, and that's a separate issue. Maybe I won't be with that girl.
I disagree with that. I still think that it has to be a conversation, because at some point, not all men, but maybe some men might feel like, shoot, I'm literally like, for the past 3 years, I've been initiating this. Is she even like sexually interested in me?
Honey,
Or is she just
how come you don't
starfish, just kind of like,
how come you don't want to?
yeah.
How come you don't want to hump me?
Oh God.
Is that's what you want to go and ask her? Huh?
Yeah.
Don't you become less of a man when you do that?
No.
Yes.
Become more of a man.
No.
Yes.
No.
No. Become more of a man.
You don't initiate.
Yeah.
No.
There you go.
Uncle Sammy, what do you think, man? Hearing this.
I think for me personally, I'm always in the mood, I find. So I think the main thing is to try to, so I don't think it's 50-50, but I think like because I'm always in the mood, you want to make sure that the woman is in the mood as well, because I find they're not as in the mood as men are generally, obviously. So I think that I would always want to initiate. So you have to figure out a balance where she's able to initiate it as well, to get her into the mood of initiating. Because I think if you're always initiating and she's not in the mood, then it's gonna come to points where you're gonna get that like, oh no, not today. Oh no, not today. So I think it's gotta be, you gotta get to a point in the relationship where you can get her to be. I think it's gonna be more ideally, like I said, I think you want it to be 60-40 or so for the woman initiating it. Because obviously, if she's initiating it, that means she really, really wants it. So it's not that the guy isn't going to initiate. Like, he's always down, if just speaking for me personally. So it's more so I find to make the relationship successful, she's
Okay.
got to be wanting to do it more so than you, because I find naturally we're never gonna say no.
How about you, Cash? What do you think about that? You said you want it to be 50-50. As from a woman's perspective, if you're not in the mood, and according to Mr. JR here, you have to do it 50-50, and it's your day of the week. Are you gonna go and initiate with your partner?
I don't know. Like it all depends if you're in the mood. Like you're not gonna always be in the mood.
Are you speaking from a female's perspective or both male and female?
Both. I don't, and I totally disagree with Sammy, because I think there are some men that, that's not always in that mindset of wanting to initiate. So I don't think it goes for all men. I think also it goes both ways.
Fair. But here's the thing though. And I'll ask you this. Do you believe that from a female's point of view, do you feel that if your man is always the one initiating it, like, do you feel at some point you have to step up and say, no, it's got to be both ways? Or are you just going to sit back and say, he's the man, he's got to take charge and take the lead?
No, I think as a woman, you have to also take charge as well. You can't just wait for the man to initiate first. I think for a woman, you have to initiate as well.
Fair.
So I think what I'm trying to say when I say like 60-40, just to maybe clarify what I mean by that, is I think you got to, so I think the guy has to initiate it in a clever way, is what I'm trying to say. Because even just listening to Cash, she was kind of saying, she's not all like, sound like not always in the mood. Like I said, guys are in the mood more than women are in the mood. I think that's fair to say for majority of time. So I think the guy has to be more clever in the way he initiates it. So maybe like doing some things that's gonna get her in the mood. Not just, you can't ask, is what I'm trying to say. Like I think it's more like you have to do some things that's gonna be a little more romantic, or something that's gonna make her want to initiate it. But you are initiating it, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, I understand. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this question, Uncle Sammy. Doing
Yeah.
some of those things, what are some of those things that you do to get her
I don't
in the
know.
mood?
So whatever, it depends on the woman, right? So whatever is whatever she finds romantic.
Give me an
So,
example, man.
you know, pardon?
Give me an example.
I don't have an example to give right now.
Anyone
I'm not
have an
gonna put
example
myself
of
out-
what a bed should do?
I'm not gonna
Yeah.
put myself out there and say exactly what my moves are
Run a bath,
because
play some music.
Buy her
Oh,
a
God.
cute lingerie. How about
Yeah.
that?
Man, that stuff only works in the beginning. None
Ah.
of that
No, it
stuff.
doesn't.
How long have you been in a relationship, mister?
Man, that stuff.
If the woman is in love with you,
Mhm.
that stuff does not go away. That feeling, that connection does
Yeah.
not go away. That's why you see couples who have been together for a long time. It is rare, but
Mhm.
if they break up, all of a sudden
Yeah.
they see each other, they just want to take off their clothes.
I don't agree.
You don't agree with that? Okay.
No, I think you got to work at it because it
Mm.
doesn't. It just because someone's in love with you doesn't mean that it stays and it stays where they just want to be with you that way. I
Mhm.
think like the stuff that I was kind of mentioning, I didn't give examples for, but the stuff I was kind of saying is like doing little small things
Mhm.
that builds and keeps it fresh, keeps it. I think if you take it for granted, you kind of lose that. So I think like you have to put in work. So that's what I mean by like initiating it, but initiating in a smart way because it's just showing that you value somebody or
Right.
like little gestures, whether it be flowers, now giving examples, or if it's
Alcohol
maybe
helps.
if she always does the dishes, I'm gonna just use a small like another thing. Maybe one day all of a sudden you're doing it, or you know what I mean? It's like, oh, is she gonna look at you with that like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on? So I think you kind of have to kind of know what your partner
Okay.
likes and then kind of continue at doing stuff like that because I don't think it stays. If you don't put in the effort, I think that kind of goes away. It won't just stay because
Uncle Sammy, do
that
you
stuff
think
fades over
alcohol
time
helps?
after if you don't put work.
Man. Uncle Sammy, do you think alcohol helps?
Alcohol helps.
Yeah. Do you think it helps?
Is that what you said? I could hear you
Yes,
there.
yes. What is the phone? Do you think alcohol helps?
Oh yes, I hear you much better.
Okay.
I think alcohol can help, but it just again, I think it depends, right?
Okay.
Because I think she has to be in the mood, so you have to play your cards right.
But if you get it down to the alcohol part,
Not always. You could offer her alcohol. She start crying. She's not in the mood.
or fall asleep.
Oh, God.
Or fall asleep. There you
Exactly.
go.
No, I just wanted to hear you guys. I just want to hear what you got. I'm trying to get examples, and I'm pulling it.
God.
We can't give away our secrets.
Uncle Sammy got those shorts that.
No, I don't think I don't think that stuff will help. Like it may, like, it could, but I think it's like I think it's more so like things that you do. I think it's
Right.
little gestures, you
Oh
know.
my God.
I agree with you, Uncle Sammy, on that women find actions, things like that, setting the tone, setting the atmosphere, energy, rather than guys are more
Yes.
physical, looking at you with a lingerie or something like that.
True.
It's a little
Right.
bit
That's
different.
that's what I was getting at. That's exactly what I was getting at. And that's
Yeah.
why I say it's not 50-50 because I think if you do because if you like if we initiate, they're just gonna be like, nah. Like you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
if you do the actions to set it up, they will initiate. That's what I find. So
So Uncle
that's why I
Sammy, do
say
you?
ideally you want it to be them initiating it more.
Yeah.
Although technically you're initiating by doing those gestures,
Exactly.
but that's how I look at it.
Yeah, but I still think though at the end of the day, it's still somewhat 50-50 because think of it like this is okay, if I initiate it, I did my part, but in order for the woman to actually like receive it and then partake, she's got to meet me halfway. So it's still technically 50-50.
It's 50-50 in the act, but the initiation. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
Because a lot of men have problems. I'm saying my wife doesn't want me because I'm initiating. Those are the pussy men. I'm sorry.
True.
But I think it goes down to what Uncle Sammy says. Y'all got to set the tone. You initiate 100% of the time, but you influence that moment. It's like negotiation.
Yeah. And it's not asking. Like you can't.
Yeah.
I think like if you're asking, that's definitely something's missing. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like
true. Okay.
You have to initiate. So
I don't know. I still think in order to have a healthy and successful relationship, it's gotta be 50-50.
Okay.
Because again, right? As a man, remember, for women have to go through, always being compared to what the societal norm is. Same thing with men, right? So if, you've been in a relationship, let's say 3 years, and now you're questioning like, shoot, I'm always having to initiate, with my partner, you might start to ask yourself, are they even sexually interested in me? Are they aroused by what I do? Or, you know what I mean? I still think you will know if physically things are working out if both sides are equally initiating it.
I'm telling you, man, you're living in a delusional world. Cash, this guy thinks when his girl is going through her period, does she still have to initiate 50-50? Or during that time, she has to make up back. So you ask 10 more times, then she has to ask you 20 more times when she's off her period.
100%.
Man, this Uncle Sam, you hear this guy?
100%. Because at the end of the day, like
you owe me 5 more hubs.
Well, here's the thing. If women want to be treated fairly and receive the same equality that men receive, you can't have your cake and eat it too. We can't have equality and pick and choose when we want women to initiate things and women to receive the same things that men receive, but also you're gonna side with the man's got to initiate here, or no women no it's got to be split down the middle. We're going.
You know what? I don't think it. I understand what you're saying, Jace, because I don't think it's realistic to be 50-50. And when I was saying 60-40 or 70, whatever, I meant that the guy will initiate it with gestures. So I guess almost it's 70-30 for the guy. I think the guy will always have to initiate it.
Wow.
Yep.
Pretty much. You know what I mean? Because that's just like the way we are. But I think with the gestures and the things that will get her to be receptive, that's kind of where you're going to see them initiate. So they feel for you if they're going with your gestures. I don't think they'll just initiate it. I don't think it's realistic for me to think that the female will initiate it 50% of the time.
Yeah.
I don't think that they will. I think like I would have to do something to kind of kickstart that. And then they'll be receptive to it.
Maybe, Uncle Sammy, maybe we're not living in this guy's world where he just walks around and like, I don't know if it's his ass or something.
Whoa, pause.
Maybe this guy is, I don't know. Maybe he has that special power, Sammy, that we don't have.
He maybe does it. Yeah. You know what I want? You know what I want to know? I want to know our viewers what they think. So I want them to put in the comments. Comments
below.
Yeah. Yes. Who should initiate it?
Yeah. And if you're a good-looking guy like Mr. JR, do you expect 50-50? Maybe that's the case. Maybe we're not on par, Uncle Sammy.
Yes. Maybe I'm doing something wrong.
Cash, your final thoughts on this. Close it off for the women's side. So let's go back. Do you agree with Uncle Sammy? Do you agree with JR?
I kind of agree with Uncle Sammy.
Okay.
In a sense. But then again, I'm like questioning, like, from a woman's perspective, like, what if she wants to initiate 50-50 on her partner? Like, you know what I mean? Like, make it special. Just like how Uncle Sammy mentioned it, like, oh, you have to do these little gestures and things like that. I feel like men also deserve to be treated the same way, but then again, like, as I said, not 50-50, but I don't know. I kind of agree. I want to agree with Sammy in that, in how he explained it and saying, like, you know, the men are better doing the spontaneous things to kind of initiate it from a woman's
Okay, let me
side.
ask you something else.
Mm-hmm.
I know we said we'll close it, but that sparked a question for me. What if the guy you're with, because obviously all relationships is not the same.
True.
Have you ever had a situation where you're not initiating 50-50? And was it because of the way the guy physically looked or acted? Like, what made you want to initiate with the guy more?
The way he treats you.
So if you get treated good,
And that's exactly what I was saying.
Yes.
See, I got the secret.
Yes. Because I feel like
it wasn't the magic stick, Sam.
I don't know.
Oh God.
And don't get me wrong. Some women are like, oh, I want to initiate after a fight to kind of get it off my mind. So your question is valid there, Jace. But for me personally, I think the way how I'm being treated is the way I'm going to react.
Okay.
I don't know about being upset and just being in the mood. Like, if I'm upset, I'm upset.
Fine. Here's the thing. And another reason why I say it should be 50-50, because you brought up an interesting part with men being spontaneous. But I think women are a little bit more creative than men. So in certain aspects. So here's a perfect example. I'm the type where I could buy roses and I could sprinkle them, but when I look at it, it looks like a sloppy mess.
Okay.
But I think from a female's point of view, they will decorate it very nice where it looks like, okay, this is like straight out of a movie, right? So I think you need, in order for it to be 50-50 and it to work, you need the eagerness from the man who has that high sex drive, but you also need the creativity and the kind of, just a creative mindset of a woman to dress it up and make it worthwhile. So that's why I say, even though, yes, the initiation is 50-50, but it's still somehow, you're still meeting your partner in the middle, because what you bring to the table and what they bring to the table. And that's why I said, your partner is not just laying there starfish, they're actually putting in the work, which is still 50-50.
Yeah.
Or
So
maybe
I think
I'm
we're
just
saying the same
misconstruing. I
thing.
think I'm just looking at the bigger picture rather than actual initiation part.
I think we're all saying the same thing. You know what I mean? It's just we're saying, like, I guess we're the way we're explaining it is different. Because I also think, like, pretty much, like, if the guy is treating, from my experience, if you're doing what you're supposed to do in terms of making somebody feel the right way, they come out of their way to actually do, maybe it's a lingerie or something surprising, and they do those things. So I guess it's the word initiating where I'm losing, the percentages throwing me off.
Let me be clear about the initiation. Who asks for sex? Who starts that?
But you never ask. That's
No,
that's
what
the key.
I'm not
You
saying
gotta-
ask. I'm saying who starts that action?
I think the guy has to start the action because this. Let's be real.
Yes.
We always want it. Like our sex drive is just higher.
So,
and the women has to be emotionally connected to to want to do
to
it
receive
as well.
it and do it. Yeah. So
yes.
And JR, if I understand you, I think you knew the question really well. You expect that to be both the male and the female 50-50.
Correct.
Okay.
But my 50-50 goes beyond the initiation.
Man, I'm asking you initiation.
Okay, but I'm still gonna stand on the initiation.
Okay.
It's gotta be both man and woman because yes, men might have higher sex drive, but
Right.
like I don't know. Me personally, I still think you gotta meet them halfway with the initiation. It can't always be the man because again, then it's gonna turn into your girl's gonna go then gossip with her other girls and say, "Holy shoot! Every other day, my man's asking for sex."
And then the girl would say, "Is that a problem?
Yeah.
Is that a problem? I ain't get any in half a month." I don't know why I did that.
But see, hold on. While you're doing that, what did you say, Cash? What did you say? What did you say? You can't always ask?
Yeah.
Right. But then somehow women will flip it and make it look like their man is like literally has like a sex addiction. So that's what I'm saying. It's got to be 50-50.
You're saying ask, but like as Sammy said, like your girl has to be emotionally connected. Like say I could be upset and then my man is just lying there and I'm not gonna ask him, "Oh, you want to have sex?" No. Like
Okay.
I'll be like, okay. He looked at me like, "Damn, babe, you look sexy tonight." Even though I'm like not emotionally connected for sex tonight, he gave me a compliment of saying, "You know what? He's initiating it." If that makes sense, guys.
Yes.
Right. And then she will initiate it technically, but really the comment initiated it. Do you know what I mean? That's why I'm saying the
Yes.
percentage is hard to say because the guy can initiate it with just a compliment, but not ask. But you know what I mean? And she may be the aggressor in that regard because she was like, you know what? He made me feel a type of way. So I don't know
Yes.
which, if it's 50-50, 40-30, like 40-60, which way. But either way, I always find like it's going to be on the guy to make them feel a type of way. And then they will initiate it. And, whatever,
I would say they would follow
you're putting
through
the
with
effort
the
with
actions.
lingerie and this and that. They'll do that. But you got to make them want to do that.
Yeah. I would say you would initiate, they would follow through with the actions.
Yeah. That's how I think of it.
Because initiation means start.
Yeah.
Right.
They won't start it just like that. I don't find that they will unless you kind of make them feel like I got to do something for him.
Yeah, unless they're really
he
horny
does
and they
some-
always want to jump
Yeah.
on you and stuff like that. That's
that-
different. Right.
From what I find, that's not going to happen very often. Unless...
But according to Mr. JR, man's in a different world.
He's asking.
I don't know what world you guys are living in.
We in a different world, Kasebi.
Not even a different world, a different stratosphere.
Damn.
Like, I don't even know. Like,
Y'all comment below if this man's delusional. If there's other men out there like Uncle, like Mr. JR, please let us know.
there's got to be Team JR. Where are you guys?
Team JR. You're damned if you do it. You're damned if you
There
don't.
you go.
All right, let's flip this up on 50-50.
Uh-huh.
We talked long about this. I know I inserted my little thing about initiation pause. On the financial side,
Yeah.
50-50
Ooh.
financially. Bills,
Mm-hmm.
expenses,
Mm-hmm.
dinners,
Hmm.
cars, loans, house, blah, blah, blah.
And well, let's make it clear. And I believe this statistic still stands true to today, but most relationships fail due to financial struggles or problems.
Yeah.
Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Financial is
Correct.
the first and major reasons why
Yes.
divorces happen.
So this is a pretty hot topic, a little touchy topic, but with that being said,
Who touched first? Sorry, go ahead.
pause. But I guess I'll share some thoughts.
Okay.
So I think there's levels to the 50-50.
Okay.
Okay. I think when it comes to larger expenses, so being like rent, mortgage, bills, so whatever other monthly or however your bills are structured, I think those should be split 50-50.
Okay.
And so for the house, apartment, condo, whatever, and the utilities, I think
Okay.
that should be split 50-50. However, I think when we look at like the lower tier, which is groceries, which is dinner dates or entertainment, I think that's where you can pick and choose whether it's 50-50 or if it's solely going to be the man paying for it or
Okay.
solely being the woman.
Okay.
And the reason why I say that is for the rent or mortgage and the utilities, it's equally shared.
Okay.
We both got to take a shower. We're both using water. Yeah, you might take a longer shower than me or whatnot, but I think that should still be split. We're both living in the same house equally as much, right? So split down the middle, right? But I think for the entertainment and, not regular expenses,
Right.
but
Not
expenses
reoccurring
that,
expenses.
yeah, exactly, that will come up. Maybe date night once a month. I think that's where you could pick and choose.
How about, so are you assuming both the man and woman make the same amount of income?
Yeah, there we go. That's what I was gonna say.
I don't think it should matter with income though.
Really? So if you made, let's just say you made 100,000.
Okay.
And the woman made 50,000.
Mhm.
You still think the woman should, the reoccurring expenses, the main expenses should be 50-50.
100%.
Whoa.
100%. And again, the reason why is I'm looking at it from the point of view of we are equally in this together.
Let me flip it on you.
Okay.
You're saving $50,000. She's saving $0. How is that equally being saved for both of your futures?
So here's the thing. Those date nights, those vacations,
You'll pick those up?
I'll take care of that.
Okay.
But everything else, split down the middle.
Cash, what do you think? Let's use the same scenario. The woman is, I'm not saying this is true or not. The woman is making less money than the man. So let's use the 100,000 and 50,000. But you have to, as a woman, pay 50% of the major bills.
As long as it's not an obligation, because
it's an obligation.
It's an obligation.
Yeah.
I think it should be 50-50.
Really? Knowing that you are stretched and you are going to have any or minimal savings at the end while Big Dog is saving much more of his money?
True. But I also think before you get into such a big commitment of splitting 50-50, you should be financially stable, number one. And you should have a plan of making more money or closer to what your partner is going to be making, so you're able to save if you're not able to save by splitting it 50-50, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
I'll come back to that, Uncle Sammy.
Does that make sense?
That doesn't make sense. I'll come back to that.
I'm a little bit more like, I guess you could say old school. So I don't think it has to be 50-50 per se, especially if I'm making more. So I would, I don't know what the percentage would be or what, because it just depends on what the situation is, but I'm not the type that cares for it to be 50-50. You know what I mean? So I may want to do things, take trips to Dubai or something that's a little bit more expensive and things like that, and then they're not going to be able to afford it, sort of thing. So I don't have that expectation. It's almost like, okay, here's the bills, we're going to contribute to the bills. There's no like actual number because it just depends. At the same time, I want her to be able to save some money too. You know what I mean? Because if we're both, if only one person has savings and the other doesn't, then I don't think that's fair. So we kind of what you were bringing up there. If one's making 100,000, the other making 50, I would just kind of look at that scenario and kind of make sure it works for both parties, because I would feel like shit if they're paying this and then they don't really have anything saved. You know what I mean? So I'm a little bit more old school.
Right. Does it matter the relationship status? Because when you're married as a man and a woman, whatever you make is household income, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So are we talking
Exactly.
about a married couple or just boyfriend and girlfriend?
I say married couple.
Okay.
Yeah. I was doing it like a married couple too.
Okay.
Even boyfriend, girlfriend, I don't know if I wouldn't really do 50-50 per se,
Right.
but it's not as, you know, it's a little bit different, I guess, in that case compared to if you're married. So I guess it's easier to go after married couple.
Yeah. And also too, I think looking at it from, because that's a good question you asked there. Yes, I'm looking at it from married couple, but if you're boyfriend and girlfriend and same scenario and the man's contributing 75% more than what his girlfriend's contributing, if the relationship fails and falls apart, then
That's the risk you take as a man. I feel like y'all new school people here don't really understand what it is as a man to take care of a woman.
but is that taking
50-50,
care?
come on, man. She's bearing the children. She's taking care of
Okay.
the household, perhaps.
Okay.
She's doing her own thing. She's taking care of herself for you.
Mm-hmm.
Why does she have
And
to
the
go
other thing-
50-50?
But I have a question still.
Yeah.
What if the
And guess
man is
what?
making less than his woman?
So if the roles were reversed.
Yes. What if the
Same
woman is
thing.
making more money than the man?
I look at it the same way.
How would you feel as a man? Like, do you think you still need to go 50-50? Answer that.
Do I still think they could go 50-50?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be in that position, so I can't answer that.
Oh.
I'm a man and I'm a
Uncle
provider.
Sammy, do you have any answers to that?
Well, I don't agree with it going 50-50. So in that case, like if she was making more, if she was saying, okay, 50-50, I guess I would have no choice but to go 50-50. But I
Mhm.
look at it like if I'm making more, I don't think it has to be 50-50. So I would hope that we're in the same mindset where she would also look at it like, oh, I'm making more than he is. Let's make sure that he is able to save some money as well. You know what I mean? So, and we kind of talked just to touch on what JR was saying, like if you were to break up or whatever, I'm hoping that you're also saving money. Although you're not going 50-50, you should also be saving as well. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
True.
That's
I just
true.
don't believe that if we put like numbers, it creates like not a relationship type of thing. And I was about to make another point when I talked about making them in the mood. If you're not going 50-50, I'm pretty sure they'll be in the mood a lot more.
Because it's not an obligation, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's a question for you guys. If, let's just say, again, the 50K the wife makes, 100K the man makes, and let's say the wife's contributing 25%,
Right.
the man's contributing 75.
Okay.
Don't you guys feel that you're now taking away her equality
Why?
and her right to feel equal to her partner? Or do you feel like she will make up the equality elsewhere?
Why does equality have to be a part of this?
It does. Because what has been the fight for women for so many years?
Man,
I own this house as much as you're the owner.
Because like, here's another thing. Man, I don't even want to go down this road, but we're now empowering the man who can now use that power against the woman. And basically, we've seen power trips from men who have, I don't even want to mention names, but we know who we're talking about
Right.
here. So as a woman, she might look at it, well, damn, my man's contributing 75% of his income to covering all of this while I contribute 25%. He could turn around. He can turn around and say, get out that door.
she could cheat on him and leave him and take all his shit.
Or what about, or he could have been cheating too. There's so
Right.
many hypotheticals, right? But I feel like from a woman's point of view, the man now has that upper hand.
But why are you always
Not
throwing
if she's
shades
making
on
more.
men? There's so many good men out there And the rare occasions of these idiots shouldn't factor into this.
And that's why I said 50-50. Because as much as the person contribute towards everything, both parties still, even though she's making, let's say, 50K and he's making 100K, she's still contributing equally as he is. And so he won't have to say, well, I pay more than you. I take care of this more than you. I pay for a vacation. Right?
Right.
Versus if we go 50-50, even though I'm making less than that, I would want to improve myself so I can be at his level to start saving. And to also, I want to feel equal.
But is that life where you always want to be competing with your man? It's that, like, to me, this doesn't sound like a relationship. I want to make as much money as you.
Yeah.
Like, why does that have to be the case? Aren't you just happy together? Why does that have to be a part of the competition race?
I mean, your partner,
that's not a relationship.
I get what you're saying. It's not a problem that a man is able to provide more than a woman. But also, I think I don't know. Maybe I'm just being selfish.
Come on, say it.
I don't know. I also want to feel equally like with him as well. Like, I don't know. I just don't want him to feel like I'm putting more money and then one day he just turned his back and say, well, let's just say if he just messed up and he cheated, right? And then I say, well,
this is why I don't like. Go ahead.
And then, it's like, okay, well, you can't talk or say shit because I pay all this bills. I pay this. I pay the car insurance. I pay more than you. Like, I'm contributing more than you financially.
This is why I hate the fact of society today. There's always, why'd you do this? Why is this? Why is that? Like, we don't actually think about sticking together as a couple through thick and thin, what the vows are. You make more money, I make more money. The agreement is. Why you always think the man or the woman will cheat, will say, get out of my house, will say this and that? Like, where is... You deal... If that happens, you deal with that after.
People do that.
But it's not... It's the exception. It's the one that's the highlight of the news. It's the exception. It's not the case everywhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you're assuming there is good guys out there, right? Like for example, I wouldn't care if I'm making $100,000 and the person I'm dating is a cashier, for example, at a grocery store or a cashier at a Walmart or whatever. That has no bearing on how I would treat her or how I would view her. So you have to also cater for some guys might be just like me. They don't care about those things. So they're not going to say, oh, I paid this, I paid that. So I don't think she needs to be at my level or with quotation marks there, because I just want her to be herself. Whatever her job entails, there's a reason I'm with her, so I don't look at it. So now, and I'm kind of with Jace here, because he's saying that there is guys like us, from what I'm gathering from what he's saying, that don't really look at that stuff. They just want the relationship to be fine, treat the people in the relationship the correct way, and not really pay attention to those small things, because then it's not really a relationship anymore if it's like a transaction.
Well, yes, marriage. Okay, again. So here's the issue that I have.
Okay.
I'm on the fence with what both of you guys are saying. There's one part of me that is saying yes. Again, financially, if the man's making 100K, the girl's making 50, and she's contributing whatever, she's going to be saving less than the man, right? Because even if he's contributing 75, he's still going to be saving more than the woman contributing 25%. Right. I understand that. But again, I think from a woman's point of view, and just the current society that we live in, where it's all about women empowerment, women equality, we're now living in a new world, in a new era where, yes, there are a lot of areas where women run the world. So I still think it's gotta be 50-50 from that point.
See, and I think what I'm saying is like, I'm not saying that there's no equality and stuff like that. I'm saying you can contribute more when you're at a level that you feel like you're making more. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying that I expect that. You know,
Mm.
if it's gonna make them comfortable where they're not gonna be there's that expectation, then that gives them. It's not that I look at them or treat them differently. I believe in the same equality and everything as well. It's just that I don't have the expectation for them to do it if they're
Mm.
not there yet. So I'm kind of helping them out in a way, saying, I don't expect you to be, and if they get there, they may feel comfortable putting more and whatever. Those are conversations we'd have. So I don't want to take away that from them feeling, because I understand obviously somebody would want to contribute more if they can. But when you can't, or you're not in a position where you could contribute as much as you want, I don't want to make them feel that type of way, because I'm not holding it against them, because I think it's like a relationship, it's like I said, it's not transactional to me.
True. But in today's world, a lot of things are transactional,
Yeah, I
right?
guess
And that's the
so.
unfortunate part. Marriage is more so looked at now as a contract. I mean, yes, in the eyes of the government, when you sign and you marry, yes, it is a legitimate contract you're signing, right? In their eyes, they're looking as a contract. But even in today's world now, it's the values of marriage is slowly slipping away, and now it's
I
all
agree
looking
with that.
transactional.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Which is why I'm saying that in relationships, if it's not split down the middle, it's gonna look lopsided, right?
Mm.
And now, for example, if I'm contributing 75% and the woman's contributing 25%, what if she's now looking at this as a free ride? What if she doesn't want to elevate herself because, hey, I'm being taken care of? I'm cool with my 50K, right? Meanwhile, her man, I'm, trying to uplift myself. I'm trying to, boom, I get a director position. Now I'm VP. Now I'm
Right.
climbing the ladder. And now that 100K turns into 250, 300.
Right.
And she's like, okay, yeah, I'm taken care of. I'm cool with what I got.
What's the issue with that?
As the man, wouldn't you look like, at some point you will look in the mirror, you say, I'm doing all of this.
No.
And I've climbed the ladder while she's still at the bottom.
But that's
Not
what
a
I'm
good
saying.
bet.
Why is it a competition? You're not in competition
Yeah.
with your wife.
Yeah,
Like if,
that's where I agree
like
with
Uncle
Jace.
Sammy said,
Mm.
you married her. You didn't marry her because she made 50,000 and there's potential in there. She wasn't the second round draft pick, and then all of a sudden she didn't live her potential. Like this is not the NBA. This is not a business world. I didn't pick you so you could be promoted and make more money. On the flip side, what
Yeah.
if you get demoted? What if you lose your job and she's the only one with the income? Do you think
Right.
she has the right to leave you? Because she's the one bearing all the stuff?
Oh, yeah, she has every right to leave,
Okay.
right? Because again, anyway, conversation for another day, but that ride or die aspect does not exist in today's world. But that's a conversation for another day, right?
But you know
Mhm.
what, though? I think if you build a relationship to be transactional, then she's more likely to leave you. But if you
And
build
then
a relationship where it's not transactional, she
Mhm.
won't view it that way. She'll view it
exactly.
like, oh, he got demoted, now I got to pick up the slack. Like, you know what I mean? So it's more like having each other's back, as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know, looking at monetary. That's how I look at it. Like, you know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's always like try to pay attention to make sure the other person is taken care of. So, like, you could kind of have each other's back as opposed to looking at the money side of it. I find like the reason we talked about most marriages end in divorce. So I think the more you talk about because of financial reasons, so the more
Mm.
you talk about money, the likelihood that you're going to run into issues because you're going to keep talking about money. But if you have the connection and the communication where you're not looking at it from a monetary perspective, more than likely you're going to be able to get through these things, because if there is a monetary discussion to be had, you'll have it. You know what I mean? But if you're kind of set ground rules over money, then more likely you're going to run into that divorce situation, because something's going to pop up like, oh, why is this way? Oh, why is that way? Instead of like doing it for the right reasons. That's just me personally. You know, maybe I'm old school or however you look at it, but it's kind of the way I do things.
Cash, how do you feel? Do you think you have to be in competition? I'm using that word competition because that's what it sounds like in your man. If he's getting promoted, if he's gradually making more money, but you're at the same level, do you feel any pressure, or do you feel some type of way that he could potentially leave you because it's based on a transactional relationship because you're not performing as you should?
Personally, I don't think of him leaving me because of that. I don't know.
So in that case, you would potentially think about leaving because you're growing financially, you're growing, however she's staying the same.
But I feel like for JR, I think he feel less of a man if his woman doesn't, if let's say if he's, how do I put it? I feel like he'll feel less of a man if.
No, I'm actually on the opposite side. I'm empowering my woman I'm empowering her to not look at me as I'm this superior contributor, this and that. I want us to look at each other eye to eye and we're on the same level. Not me looking down at you, or not you, looking up at me. I want us to see eye to eye financially. And that also goes spiritually. That goes,
initiation
again, because at the end of the day, if something happens and I'm facing a setback,
right,
she's able to pick up, and vice versa. So I don't want it to be looked at as, okay, I'm the guy making all this money, I'm taking care of all of this. And you mentioned something earlier, Jace. You said, well, okay, she could provide in other areas, right? So you mentioned
take care of the kids.
Right. So now what? Am I promoting her to be a stay-at-home mom? Like,
but what if you are?
But if you're in a good relationship, that stuff won't even be a discussion.
Yeah, that shouldn't.
Do you know
be
what
a
I mean?
problem.
So it's not like she would even think like, or you would even think of, that's like promoting her to be a stay-home. I think if you talk more about monetary, that's when they'll feel like they're not pulling their weight. You know what I mean? Because they have that stigma attached to it where they feel like, oh, I'm making too little. He's making like 250,000 or whatever. But if I've never spoken about financial stuff at all, she'll never even think that's a problem.
Right. Okay. So I guess question for you guys.
Okay.
Is this something when you get into a relationship and you now are sharing expenses, whatever the percentages are, is it just a given that I'm going to contribute more, or are you having that conversation to say, hey, I'm going to contribute A versus you contribute B? And how do those conversations go?
So for me, I think the relationship, the way it works is communication. So you have to have the conversation.
Right.
So it's not like you don't have to put, like, for me, I just don't think it has to be cut and dry. It doesn't have to be black and white, like, you know what I mean, like 50-50 or whatever. You could, if you have this conversation where you're under like a mutual agreement, then I think you don't run into the problems. It's when you make those cut and dry, financial, flag in the sand type of thing, where if things change, it's always now, oh, it's another conversation we have to, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like you're having to repeat those conversations as opposed to like having a mutual understanding through communication prior to it.
Yeah,
that's true.
My conversation would be, look, I'm making more money than you. I'll take care of the bills. Maybe we agree on an 80-20 perhaps, or 70-30. Let's just say.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell them, I expect you to be eye to eye to me. We should grow together. I expect you to grow your money. I'm going to project to have this much more money in X years. You should have more X money this year's, and it should be a ratio between our salary. No, man, I'm just going to say, look, I make more money. I'll cover most of the bills. You pay $500. I'll pay the rest. And it's really not a conversation after that, unless there's a significant change, either where I lose my job or she gets an amazing job and makes 10 times more money than me.
Right.
Then maybe we revisit it. But if the bills are covered and I'm happy with that arrangement, there is no pressure.
That's the word I was just about to say.
Yeah,
Jason mentioned it, because if you put the pressure that they feel, then they're going to always be trying to live up to something. Because I think Cash Buddy Linda kind of said, oh, she wants to try to get to, and that's putting pressure on yourself. And if you don't live up to that pressure, then you're going to feel less than, and that's going to cause problems. So I think Jace hit it on the head where he's saying, like, he's not trying to put the pressure on it. It's like the discussion, like, okay, you put this much because I'm making more. So now they're thinking, okay, I don't have the pressure, or, like, let me look to find something like they'll probably look to find something, move up. It's just natural. People try to progress, but it's not with the same pressure of, like, I need to progress. I need to, make $50,000 more because, I need to contribute that much more. It's more of like a natural without the pressure.
And I don't want to sound old school on this, and I know I will when I say this. Men, I know there's women who are CEOs and bosses and things like that. Yes, great. The majority of women have a shelf life. I'm sorry. After kids, and it's not a bad thing, a shelf life for the professional of making money.
Okay.
Right? It's not a bad thing. It's just a shift in priorities, a shift of living differently. In the professional world, a woman is just as smart as a man, can get promoted.
True.
As soon as they get pregnant, they have to go on mat leave.
Yeah.
How many companies already say, post a position there, you're on mat leave for a year. Yeah. When you come back, you'll get your original position. When they come back, that position is really not there.
Yeah.
It is a sly way of saying we'll pay you the same, but we're actually not going to give you the same position because there's someone younger that came in.
Yep.
And eventually they feel slighted. They're not valued. And they eventually left and just work somewhere else.
True. But
as a man, you have the ability to go way higher in the professional scale versus a woman. The majority.
So I agree with that 100%, right? In the professional and just the work environment, that's 100% true. Now, whether we agree with it or disagree with it is a whole different conversation. Okay. But I want to backtrack. You said something interesting there.
Okay.
So when I asked about, how do those conversations go when you discuss with your partner what the split's going to be? You immediately said, hey, you know what? I'm going to contribute 80%. You contribute 20%. You literally took the power away from her. Where it's literally, I'm the man. I'm going to do this.
Right.
And there's literally nothing that she could say or do, because logically looking at it, it's like asking someone, hey, can you drive to this place, and they don't have a car? Logically, that makes no sense. Why would you tell them drive? However, logically, yes, I'm making more money, so I'm going to contribute this while you contribute that. But we literally just stripped her of her opportunity to say, no, I want to be equal on this.
You're looking at this as a sensitive way. I am the leader. I am a leader of our household. I tend to stand out and make the decisions. It's not that I won't have feedback. If I said, I make more money, I'll do 80%, you do 20%. I've already done the analysis in my mind. You can probably afford 20 and have some savings. If she says, no, I want to contribute more, it's not like no.
Right.
It's not like the end of the conversation. That's why I'm saying it's a conversation. I will start leading that way, and I think that's the best way. If she comes back and says I should contribute more, I should contribute less, sure, let's talk about it.
Yeah, but I also think that could be an opportunity.
Why
though.
does the woman have to initiate and say, you know what? You make more money. You contribute 80%. I'll do 20%. And that's final. Doesn't that strip away my feeling of being equal as well?
In a way, yeah. But I think that conversation could be had of when you sit down and say, okay.
Someone has to start the conversation.
But I think it could start like this. What are the splits looking like? And you give your wife an equal opportunity to say what she thinks, and then you could obviously say what you think, and you meet somewhere in the middle. Again, that 50-50, meet me halfway. I'm going to say what I think I want to contribute and what you want to contribute and what you should contribute just as much as she's going to say what she thinks.
Okay.
What's
the difference that I said that you said?
Because you said right away, I'm going to do this and you're going to do that.
Right.
When I rather look at it as...
I didn't say she can't say anything back.
I guess.
You're making me look like a misogynistic guy.
I don't know. I mean,
I'm not saying it's 80-20.
I mean,
it's 80-20. Oh my God. All right.
I think some women would love to do 80-20.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Some women want the man to take the lead in some cases.
And then
he's not saying that it has to be 20 either. He's saying if he looked at it and he was like, hey, maybe you should contribute 20% because it gives you a little bit more to save. I think it's a fair thing to say. And what he's saying is she could come back and say, no, I actually don't want to put 20. I want to put 40. And then he's going to say,
right,
okay, that works. Like, I just want to make sure you're okay with that because I think I'd prefer you to save a little bit more. Now she might say, no, it's cool. And then I'm not going to argue with her. Like, you know what I mean? I'm just going to go with that. But I'm trying to show like I'm considerate and I'm communicating with you to let you know that I don't want to have that pressure on you to feel like you have to put 40. So the discussion's already had that I told you could put 20. If you want to push for 40, I'm not going to argue with you. I'm going to agree with you because that's where you want to land. But at least now, if something goes wrong later, she knows that I was like, no, I'm okay with you putting 20, you know?
Yeah. Cash, how do you feel about that? A man taking control and just saying, look, I think it's 80-20. Do you feel that's a way taking away your power?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
Really?
Not necessarily.
You don't think so?
Not necessarily.
I think some people would appreciate it, actually. Like
that's what I'm trying to say.
They would appreciate it.
I'm glad Uncle Sammy has my back on this because I think society today is so sensitive. Women want equality, but they also want a man who can speak their mind and be a leader of the family. And in some cases, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not equal or I'm shutting you down. It's just I'm taking the initiation to have the conversation of what I think.
And it's not even saying that it's not equal. It's saying that, hey, I understand that you don't need to put the pressure on yourself to be, unquote, equal. You know what I mean? You're equal with quotes by even putting the 20. I'm okay with that. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like you're holding it against them or anything, because there are good guys out there that's not going to hold it against you if they're telling you, hey, put 20 is okay. You know what I mean? Like I said, no one's holding it to them. Like, they can still speak their mind and say, nah, I'd rather do 30, and then cool. But I think what he's trying to say is, like, he's okay where you don't have to have too much pressure and make it a big thing, where it could be more simple. If someone's making more, it's not a big deal.
Okay. So as long as you are still giving your partner that opportunity to make a suggestion as well, because
100%.
You could be the strong leader and say, hey, I'm going to do this. And you literally silence your partner without even them saying anything that they want to do, or if they have an objection or a suggestion, whatever. Right?
No.
Okay. I just want to.
No, that's exactly what I meant. You have no opinion. It's 80-20, bitch.
Oh, shoot.
You give me 500 every month, and it
Yeah.
better be there the first of the month under my pillow.
Oh,
Under my
Wow.
pillow. Well, I didn't mean it that way.
No, I didn't mean it that way. All right. Do we got any more thoughts on this?
nah.
No, you good?
50-50, meet me halfway, please and thank you.
Oh my God. Comment below, ladies. The ladies that are watching our pod. You got the man here. Don't want to make it too sensitive. Don't want to take it too forceful. But
Mm.
I gotta make sure that you're okay. You're treated equally. I ain't gonna initiate all the time, and I ain't gonna contribute it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We equals in this place. Comment below your thoughts on that.
There you go. You said it best.
Yeah.
And you know what? We can revisit some of the comments
Yeah.
when we get some of these
Mhm.
comments. We can actually read them the following
Yeah,
week
and y'all
and
make
kind
some
of-
sense when you comment. If you're commenting,
Yeah.
type it in English, please.
Oh shoot.
All right, y'all want to take a break? Wrap up.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll be right
We'll be
back.
back. Woo.
All right.
I got a joke for you guys.
Uh-oh.
So you know when I was younger,
Uh-huh.
I used to date a midget girl.
Oh shoot.
Yeah. I was nuts over her. All right.
Damn. That's crazy.
Let's get back on track. So I got a topic for y'all.
All right, what you got?
So in line with last week, and obviously all these idiots in Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
all these political crazy people, I got a question for y'all. And it always seems this way. For some reason, when these people are building up their careers, growing, trying to make a name for themselves, we don't really hear much. We're all fans of them. We hear the
True.
struggle. We hear them talk about had to do this to get over here, had to do that to get over here. But once they reach the top of their career,
Mm-hmm.
the top, the elite, they're powerful. Some
Yeah.
call them well respected.
Mm-hmm.
But why does it seem they get all weird when they're powerful? Does power corrupt?
Hmm.
What do y'all think?
I think power doesn't corrupt just
Okay.
as much as the fame and money doesn't corrupt. And the reason why I say that is mentioning names like, okay, Kanye. People look at him as a narcissist and with a big ego.
Mhm.
Ellen, how she treated her
How
employees.
she beats people, allegedly.
Allegedly. You know, and all these other individuals who have fame, power, money, and we hear stories of what goes on behind the scenes. But
Right.
I think it doesn't corrupt them. I think these are traits and qualities that they already had that is now just amplified because of they're always under a microscope. So
Okay.
for example, Kanye. I don't know if you guys watched the Genius documentary that was on Netflix.
I think I did. Yeah.
It came out, I think it was
A
2
while
years
ago,
ago.
right?
Yeah. Basically it was like behind the scenes footage of Kanye coming up in the Rockefeller
Right.
days. And this is going back to like even before the college dropout. So this was like 2002, 2003, where he was going around saying, I'm going to be the biggest rapper,
Right.
when he was still a producer.
Right.
People knew him as just as a producer for Jay. Didn't even know his name. And he said, I'm going to be the biggest rapper one day. And then boom, he became this huge celebrity. So I think from that point of view, I think power doesn't corrupt them. I think it just amplifies who they
are.
really are. I don't know if you guys feel the same way.
Uncle Sammy, what do you think?
I feel the exact same way. I think power and money just makes you more of who you are. So it just now you're able to really show it. So I think the problem is we're not having enough people with the integrity in these positions. You know, people who have integrity and they stand by that. That's the problem, because people have the integrity, that they don't go for certain positions when they see that, it goes against what they stand for. So that's why we're finding more people in these positions who are corrupt and who are, going to wield and use their power for wrong. You know what I mean? Because the person who had the integrity, if they're going for that position, they might have seen some things that they weren't willing to do. So we don't really get these people in those positions all the time. So I really believe it does amplify, like JR was saying, more of who you are. But the problem is, like I said, is the people who are cutthroat and who are the ones that will use it for all the wrong reasons are genuinely the ones who are going to step over you to get to that position. And unfortunately, that's when we see what we see for a lot of the examples that we have.
That's true.
Cash, going along those lines, do you think power corrupts, or do you think people are basically that way, but it just amplifies as they get more powerful?
The second option that you mentioned.
Why do you think that?
Because at first, obviously, you're not going to have as much power to corrupt, but as you start to get bigger, then you can possess more opportunity to corrupt. Like for him, he mentioned about Kanye. I don't know. There's also a story with one of the celebrities wanted to become a president or something like that.
It's probably Kanye.
He did run. But okay, you mentioned that example, right? But we're only seeing them in the limelight. We're only seeing them from, day one in the music industry or in, being an actor. But we don't know their lives, which was previously before all of this fame. So we don't actually know who they really are. We're only seeing who they are under the bright lights. So if we see them as being this narcissist or this egotistical maniac, right, we look at them that way, but we don't know who they were before all of this.
Do you think, though, I know this is probably going to be weird to say it, I think we all agree that power does make you more of who you are, but do you think, not to in a bad way or in a good way, do you think you kind of need that trait in order to make it up the corporate ladder, like Uncle Sammy is saying, being willing to step over you, be willing to have that mindset of, I'm right, I am it's like a godlike complexity, right? Where a lot of people say, I'm God, I feel like I'm almighty powerful.
Yeah.
That mindset can take me to that level.
100%. And I hate to bring up this video, but I've seen this video for a few years now, where this was maybe back early 2000s. I don't know if you guys seen it. Is Diddy sitting in an office.
Okay.
And he's on the phone and he just closed the business deal. And he slams down the phone and he basically says, I get whatever I want. Nobody could stop me, blah, blah, blah.
Can't stop, won't stop.
Well, there you go.
I gotta do one of those TikTok things. Like, when you're stuck in the bathroom, then all of a sudden you hear Diddy.
Oh gosh.
Dancing coming. Anyways. Go ahead, man.
Oh God. But we've seen that video, right? And there's so many others that we've seen of people who feel like they cannot be stopped. And that's exactly why, I look at it from the point of view, and I think we're all similarly looking at it the same, where they were like that. It's just now amplified times 100.
Right.
Because there's all these cameras around and all these bright lights.
It feeds into them, right?
Exactly.
But what I'm trying to get to is, we definitely need powerful people, because there'll always be powerful people in this world, right? But I think what I'm trying to say, it's necessary to have these people in order to move or shift culture, shift technology, right? Like,
true.
Moving from the entertainment side, Steve Jobs had a godlike complexity. Everyone said that, 100%. very rude to his wife, his kids.
Mhm.
We still don't know a lot of stuff, like, because things have shown in the limelight. But there
Yeah.
are stories of him literally kicking people in boardrooms, kicking them out the boardroom and saying
Yeah.
you're fired the day of.
Yep.
If they say something that he doesn't like. And what I'm trying to say is he was necessary in order for us to advance in technology.
100%.
Elon Musk is necessary because he has that godlike complexity. I can do it. We can fly
Yeah.
to Mars. We can do it. But there's an imbalance
Mhm.
of having that great godlike complexity of perhaps anger.
True.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Disdain of people who are against you.
Mm.
But they are the ones in society that are the shifters. These are the game changers. You know what I
Right.
mean? Sorry to say, but maybe it's a necessary thing in our world.
Well, I 100%
It just
believe
sucks.
so.
It just sucks that that's
Yeah.
reality. That's what I'm
It's
trying
true.
to say.
Because also too, these people are like 0.1% of the population.
Right.
And there's all these sayings where, these so-called geniuses, they're a bit
Wacky. Yeah.
wacky. I don't want to say weird, but sure, why not? They're weird. They're looked at differently.
Right.
They process things a million times faster than we can process things, and
Right.
so on, right? So I think when you're that not even 1%, that 0.1% of the entire population, I think that you have that fearless mentality.
Yeah, I'm the man.
Yeah.
Right. I'm the man. Who else can challenge me? And
Yeah.
I know if I want to go to Jupiter tomorrow, I can figure it out because I'm
Right.
that great. But I also have anger issues because I'm so focused on this. My mind's calculated 1,000%.
Mm-hmm.
There's something lacking on the social side.
Right.
Right. And that's what I'm trying to say is we look down at these people, but we need them to advance
100%.
society.
Yeah.
And that's the complexity I'm trying to
I
ask, or like, how necessary are them? I think they are necessary.
yeah.
But like, it's difficult to say. We shit on them when they mess up,
Yeah.
but they're responsible for a lot of the things that we have today.
No, 100%. And it's needed. That imbalance is needed. And it's unfortunate to say that it is needed though.
Yeah.
Because okay, so one of my favorite artists is Vincent van Gogh.
Okay.
Right? The painter where he painted the Starry Night.
Modman.
Yes, unfortunately he cut off his own ear. He was placed in an asylum, but and that's one of, arguably one of the world's most famous paintings
Right.
was him in an asylum looking out at a starry night.
Yeah.
So if he wasn't suffering from these mental issues, would we have gotten,
Those great art.
you know what I mean? So it's sad to say, because it's kind of selfish when we say
Right.
we need those imbalances, because we don't know what they go through, right? We don't know when they go home to their families, the Elon Musk, the R.I.P. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates,
Right.
we don't know what their lives are like. They may hate their lives or they may love it. We just don't know. But us being the consumer, it's selfish to say, but we need those imbalances. We need those impurities because that's what allows them to be great.
So is it okay when they mess up in front of our eyes to shit on them as bad?
No, it's not okay for us to shit on them.
Okay.
And reason being is we will never be able to fathom how life looks like through their eyes. Can you imagine? And like when Kanye used to be around with Kim and the paparazzi would be up in their face,
Right.
and I think he punched a photographer a few times. Like, we don't know what that feeling is like. Having cameras being following you around.
While your mind's processing 10,000 things at a time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, what did Kanye say? I see music and I hear color. Like, who else in this world could say something like that? You know what I mean? Like, so again, we look at it we see them on TMZ. We're reading articles where they've done this, they've done that, but their lives are looked through, like a microscope, or we look at their lives through a microscope, but we also fail to realize that we can never comprehend with what they go through on a daily basis.
We get their blessings, but we also see their. I don't know, Uncle Sammy. What do you think about that?
So I actually disagree with this one as well. So I get that I'll never be able to think at the level that they're thinking at. Shouldn't say I'll never, maybe I can one day, but right now I can't get to that level of thinking. However, they're smart enough to understand that societal norm is a thing as well. They just choose to look at themselves like they're better because everyone's telling them they're geniuses, and they are, but they're just holding themselves to like a different standard, which is why I don't give them the pass, because they're smart enough to understand what they're doing is not what everybody else would deem acceptable. You know what I mean? So I also understand what JR's saying when he says that we'll never understand what it's like to think at their level or to go through what they're going through with the paparazzi and with all of that. Granted, I get that portion of it, but they also know right from wrong, so because they're smart enough to know right from wrong. They can't be like so smart that they're lost what right from wrong looks like. So um I don't give them a pass. I think that because they're smart and because they know all those things, they should have a better understanding, or more so, of what's right or what's wrong. But they choose to ignore it. I find that they choose to ignore it to go with what they want or what's easier for them to go through or what suits them. And I don't think that's fair. So I don't give them a pass for those type of things. But I understand that I'm not living their life, but still, you got to still have everybody else has the same rules. So you got to live by those same rules as
So,
well.
Uncle Sammy, let me challenge you on that, because I'll throw this up on our description. I forgot to bring it, but
Yeah.
there's a stat that said it wasn't Elon Musk. It was someone in his realm. I don't know if it's Mark Zuckerberg or the other guy who ran Napster or whatever. His IQ is about 150. So in terms of intelligence quotient, right? Which is considered genius level.
Yeah.
Once you're 130 up above your genius, he's like super genius.
Yeah.
His EQ is 80, which is really low. So that imbalance of EQ, meaning he doesn't necessarily have the social side of his brain.
Right.
He does understand like what's right and what's wrong, but it's not immediately known, right? It's more of a reaction sort of thing of how they are. Like, it's like, if you think about it this way, we're doing a math test. It might, if my IQ is really low, it's not that I don't know how to do multiplication or division. It just takes me a longer time to figure it out, where you just do it quickly. And if you look at the EQ side of it, if someone puts a camera in front of my face, it takes me a longer time to process to say I shouldn't punch you, when instead my EQ is really low. I just react to how I know, because I'll just punch you.
Right.
And then afterwards I'll be like, oh crap, I did the wrong thing, because that's just how I was built in my brain nature. Does that make sense?
It does.
That does make sense.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's a good point. However, I look at it like, okay, after you punch the first guy in the face, how many people do you have to punch before you figure out, what it takes to raise that EQ level? You know what I mean? So
But that's the thing. The EQ level, my understanding is it doesn't change much as the IQ. IQ you can learn. EQ is something that is instilled with you, which is your moral compass in a sense, right?
So then what does it take to make that, would it be punishment?
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So because where do we draw the line, right? So like, for example, we can talk about Diddy, we could talk about Harvey Weinstein, we could talk about how
Diddy has no
it is.
excuse. Was shit on him. He's not a genius. He doesn't have an IQ of higher than me. I know that for a fact. Trust me, I Google this shit. He has problems that are outside. We're talking about geniuses, not bitches. Geniuses.
So like, I'll use Kanye then. I don't know what his IQ is, but what will it take for him to figure out he can't do certain things? You know what I mean? What would, like, if he was to commit a crime, I don't want to say it particular, but a horrendous crime, then we punish him. Like, you know what I mean? We have to kind of figure out when he's taking steps towards that. How do we stop him from making, going over that line? Do you know what I mean? So it's sometimes we have to, if we allow it, then we're kind of like allowing stuff to take place that we're trying to not have happen. So sometimes you have to kind of put your foot down, treat that. I don't care what your EQ level is. You gotta learn. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah.
Whether that be punishing you, so next time I can't do it this way, or whatever it is, because it's gonna only elevate. If someone gets away with this, then guess what? They're gonna do something a little bit more. They're gonna take another inch and another inch, and then it's gonna get to a big, until something massive happens, and we're like, oh, well, the signs were there. Well, the signs were there, but we let it happen. So I don't look at it as an excuse. I think you have to deal with it as it comes and punish it as it comes as well. I don't use EQ as a,
That's fair.
as a I guess what's the word I'm looking for?
As an excuse.
Exception.
Yeah. That's fair.
I don't agree. So I agree with. I think we have to take it as is. To be honest with you, but I do think you have to deal with the consequences. Unfortunately, and I think it comes back to you have to separate the art from the artist.
Yes.
Because if we're saying IQ versus EQ, we have to take the great things and somehow expect to separate the person from their actual creativity, in a sense. We have to separate that at the end of the day. Because, look, people start idolizing these folks.
Yeah.
And then down the road get disappointed.
True.
Not just disappointed. You feel like a total shit for supporting this person.
Yeah.
How many years listening to their songs, watching their art, then all of a sudden you hear they start beating up or on doing something to someone. And it's like, damn. It's like, I supported you all this time, but you fulfilled a need in my childhood. You know what I mean? It's
true. But there's also a fine line with that, though, where I agree with separating the art from the artist 100%. But where do we draw the line when we're talking about domestic violence, when we're talking about child molestation, like things like that? I can take my favorite artist being someone who is just a complete asshole, right? They treat employees bad, but you get the greatest music, whatever, from them. I'm okay with that. But am I okay with my favorite artist being someone who's has gotten domestic violence cases, has, something to do with children? Like,
but who are we to choose what they're lacking in? You know what I mean? I don't want to make an excuse. Like, it's horrible.
Right.
If
no,
you molest a
100%.
child, but like, we're not the ones in the DNA manipulating what you should and shouldn't have. So what I'm trying to say is their IQ is so high, they're so amazing, but the downfall could be, unfortunately, they beat women. Like, instead of anger towards employees, maybe it's anger towards their spouse.
My thing is, if you don't put a stop to that, what happens when they murder their spouse?
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm like, you can't. I refuse to give even a little bit of an edge or anything towards them, because I don't care how smart you are. At the end of the day,
you're a shitbag.
That's not going to be tolerated, or that's someone's daughter, that's someone's son, or whatever. You just don't want to let them get away and hurt other people in society. So I don't see any excuse, and I will never give an excuse.
Yeah, that's true.
Personally.
And again, we looked at it from like an extreme aspect, but also too, even relating to athletes, right? Michael Jordan, arguably the greatest basketball player of all time, arguably. He's an idol to many, but
that's not arguably though. But he's the greatest of all time.
When it's all said and done, when LeBron's career is over,
yeah, that's
we
not a
gotta
discussion.
have that debate.
We ain't having a pod on the greatest basketball player. It's Jordan.
Okay. There you go. Well, with that being said, Michael Jordan was also known as someone who didn't like to sign autographs, take pictures, and that idea of, these kids, young teens who are looking up to Jordan, meeting him, and then now they're crushed because they didn't get that
live up to the
welcome that they thought they would have got, right? So again, if looking at it from that point, do we just have to accept that he's that asshole, but he provides some of the greatest basketball moments ever?
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I'm trying to say. I think we have to start. There's too many occasions now these days that because there's a camera in front of everyone now, right? We didn't see it as much as before. If it was back then and before, it was really an exception, an anomaly.
True.
Now we're seeing it so often because of the cameras and the way social media is today. I think we have to start changing our mindset and separating the art from the artist. That's my solution. I don't know, Cash, what do you think about it? So the question is, for example, do you think it's okay to give grace to someone who's really smart, provides us with the greatest technology, the greatest music, the greatest basketball, but at the end of the day, at home, they're a bad person?
That's challenging because, like, you're not at home. You're a different person, but to society, you're a completely sweetheart. You know,
and that's due to what I'm trying to say is the imbalance of they're such a genius or they're such a great person in terms of intelligence. Perhaps their emotional intelligence is lacking.
Yeah,
because there's no such thing as perfection. I guess.
True.
But yeah, no. I don't know. Like, I think it starts from home. How you treat your family, you should treat society the same. Like, you shouldn't treat society good and not treat your family the same.
Yeah, but I don't even want to go down this road. But again, it's
like Kanye, as you mentioned, is the greatest of all, whatever. But based on Kim, she's, of course, have her ways and how she thinks about him and what he is as a father. I mean, he's a great father, but obviously I don't think he's a great partner.
Fair enough.
And that starts from home.
Fair enough. But again, we being the consumer, we kind of have to be a little selfish and say, I'll take that so I'm able to get that, whatever it may be, that new iPhone, that new song, that new album, those new shoes, right? Yes, it's wrong what's going on behind closed doors, right? And there may be more that we're not privy to know what's actually going on. But again, us being the consumer, if I'm slapping down $1,300 for the newest iPhone, yet I don't know who, I think it's Tim Cook now is kind of like the head honcho. Yeah. We haven't heard anything about Tim Cook, but let's just say there was XYZ going on with him and we're hearing all this stuff. I'm going to be a little bit selfish as a consumer and say, I want that new iPhone. So if I got to accept that he's this kind of man at home to get that new product, I'll be okay with it.
Right.
I guess so.
But that's just consumerism, though.
As you mentioned,
right?
Jay, no one is perfect. So
right.
I guess so. Like, to go on the aspect of, even though they're not an amazing person at home, but to society, they're able to win, then I guess we'll go based on that.
True.
First option.
So I guess we kind of agree that not everyone's perfect, but there are certain limitations on terms of how bad of a person you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like beating your wife and stuff like that, then obviously you're being abusive to that extent. Then, and you're an amazing person to society. Like, for me, I won't go with that, because I think you should respect people from home versus going out and pretending to be this amazing person.
Yeah, but again, right?
Like Jay-Z. I don't want to say that.
But again, us being the consumer, sometimes you just have to
Accept,
overlook that.
Or like
right?
Offset, he's amazing artist and he cheats on Cardi B and kind of causing that emotional abuse. But I don't want to go down that road. But
Uncle Sammy, what do you think about separating the art from the artist? Because I know there's an artist you really like, but he has done crazy things, right?
I think it's hard for me to do that.
Okay.
So I probably won't support, and I know, I guess it's just for me. If I feel a type of way or they're doing something that I don't agree with, I won't enjoy the art. I'm not built in the way where I will take a liking to what they're putting out, even if everybody else loves it. I personally, I guess I don't join the crowd. I'm okay if my thinking is not the same as other people. So I actually won't enjoy the art. So I'm a little different when it comes to that. I can't separate it. So I'm gonna think of, if you're a shit person, I think your art is shit too. It's just, that's the way it's gonna go.
I'm the opposite of you. I think I'm starting more to separate the art from the artist. Because if I want to hear this banging song that I used to love, this person's a terrible person, I'm going to play it. Makes me feel good. Takes me back to a time where I felt young, happy.
And you didn't look at that artist.
I didn't look at it. Right.
You know what? As you said that, it made me think there is some artists that I do.
Yeah.
But I would say, so there are exceptions, I guess. But generally, because I don't want to sound like I'm a hypocrite when I know there's some artists that I kind of, and people who know me know I kind of like music from certain artists that have done terrible things. So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, but it's more, I lean more so to not support the art majority of the time. Not 100%.
Yeah.
But majority of the time, because for those who know me, know I like some R. Kelly R&B music.
My song for real, no doubt, and the DJ's making me feel. All right, that's it.
Oh boy,
y'all cannot play that song in the summertime.
I didn't want to sound like a hypocrite. As soon as you said that you're separating it, I was like, oh damn, no.
I know you're bobbing your head.
I don't do that 100% of the time.
But before we wrap this up, okay, so we live in the streaming world where if I go on Apple Music, Spotify, even YouTube, and I click on whatever song, right? Proceeds go to that artist, right?
Yep.
So if I'm playing some R. Kelly and I'm on Spotify, right? Aren't I technically now allowing that artist who has done unbelievably wrong things in life to now profit off of me listening to their music?
So me personally, that's why I say I separate the art from the artist. When I go listen to an R. Kelly song, I'm not worried about who's getting the money. I want to listen, being selfishly as a consumer, to the song. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, maybe benefiting him, but come on, man. If I need to hear a good song, like P. Diddy, man, this guy's shit, but I'm pretty sure that I would love to hear Benjamin's One Day Again. Right now I'm not feeling it, but I'll have to get over of listening to a song like that because you know what? I like the song.
That's
true. Sounds like Jay's trying to initiate when he's playing some R. Kelly.
Yeah. That does help. That little ding, 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 ding.
I don't know.
That's me. I don't know about you. How do you feel? Asking you the same question.
Again, there's a fine line, right? Yeah. I you know what? Okay, I've also heard too that these streaming platforms as well, what they've kind of been doing is they'll remove certain artists that have domestic violence cases from certain playlists or whatnot, right? Fine, they're doing their job because they have every right to do what they want to do with the music. So I guess from my point of view is if I have a CD that I bought before I knew everything, sure. If Oh man,
Let me ask you, it's tough, right?
It's tough.
Okay, you're a huge Kanye fan.
Yes.
I'm not saying this is any so way this is Kanye.
Right.
What if something terrible came out about him?
Yeah.
You want to play the song, man.
It's true.
You want to play the
Yeah.
song, right? Maybe it's one of these guys who have been caught. They're not you're not a huge fan of them, but maybe the one that's a huge fan comes out. You want to play. You're not thinking about who's benefiting. You think about
That's
the mode
true.
you're in.
Yeah.
Money's money. They'll get money's money, man. Whatever.
It's tough. It's
That's why I say you got to start.
tough.
It's
Yeah.
okay for people and to stop judging people as a consumer
Yeah.
for having their views.
Yeah.
If you're a good person, you're a good person. But I'm not listening to a song. I'm listening to the artist.
True.
I'm not listening to whatever the person is.
Yeah.
I'm listening to the art that was created.
Yeah. But again, there's that fine line though.
You gotta
Right.
take out the line. With these days, like I'm saying, social media
Yeah.
cameras, there's gonna be more, way
Right.
more. And there's gonna be a lot of surprising names. Jay-Z was a soundtrack of my high school days.
Uh-huh.
I don't know what's gonna come out a month from now, right?
Right.
But the Rimmy's in the system still sound so good.
There you go, man.
Yeah.
It's tough, but
Yeah.
again, it's really tough. But I think you said it best. You just got to separate the art from the artist and allow yourself to, because at the end of the day, the consumer has the right,
We're suffering.
right? If you're listening to a playlist and let's say R. Kelly comes on, you have every right to skip past it,
Right.
or you have every right to stick around
listen.
and listen and jam out and do whatever you want, right? So we, the consumer, has the power at the end of the day.
Yep.
So yeah. I like that though.
Cool.
It's good.
All right. I got one more joke for y'all.
Well, let's do it.
So, what do you call it when a midget waves at you?
I don't know what.
A microwave.
Oh my god.
All right, we'll take a break and we'll come back.
All right. News to share. Some congratulations. The City of Toronto has been awarded a WNBA team for the 2026 WNBA season.
Wow. Go ahead, man.
I think that's huge news.
Big up.
Not only for the City of Toronto because
Big
they're
up, big
now
up, big
getting
up.
another professional sports team,
Did
but
you
as
decide
well,
the name already?
They did not.
No. Okay.
No, but I believe they will eventually open it up for the public to vote. And
Got any suggestions early on?
there was one that's been floating around. It sounds kind of funny. Toronto Towers.
Toronto Towers, okay.
Just kind of play on the CN Tower.
Okay.
It's funny, but I don't really know. But
Cool.
but the announcement was made last week, and this is huge news for the WNBA has been on the up and up, right? Obviously, when you draft a big player like Caitlin Clark, who's arguably the LeBron of the WNBA,
That's
right?
pretty. Okay, I'll let you go.
I don't know. I mean, okay, we'll
Yeah.
get into Caitlin Clark, but again, with the WNBA, they've been expanding. Starting next season, all WNBA teams will now be flown on charter flights. No longer, hour-long bus rides across country for your games. They're now basically getting the professional treatment that the NBA players and other men leagues get as well. So that's big news. So overall, I think this is huge.
Mm-hmm.
And we're
Hopefully they start selling seats to pay for all this.
yeah. Well, the first ever WNBA game outside of the U.S., which was at Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, sold out.
Okay.
I also heard some reports that for the first inaugural season of this team in Toronto, they're actually going to be rotating home games between Montreal, Toronto, and Vancouver.
That's nice.
That's cool. Remember the
That's
Raptors
nice.
used
Yeah.
to do that for some
Yeah,
preseason
that's
games?
nice.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, Toronto's 99% of the time, Toronto is always going to be a contender for a professional team.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Still don't have an NFL team,
Yeah.
but again, that's a different conversation. But huge.
I don't want an NFL team, to be honest. Another topic. But,
okay. Oh, we got. All right. We'll definitely come back to that one. But yeah, it's really great, and WNBA has been on the up and up, and should be interesting. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
I also don't think they're playing in the. I don't think they're playing in the ACC. I think they're playing in Coca-Cola Arena or Coca-Cola Set, whatever it's called. So I don't think like they'll have the massive like arena where the Raptors play. So that's good because I guess starting off, you don't want it to be like. You want a smaller arena where you can actually sell out. I think it's a good idea to play at like the Coca-Cola Center or whatever. I don't even know what it's called.
Coca-Cola Coliseum, yeah.
Coliseum, yeah.
Coca-Cola bottle
shape. So I think that's where they're gonna play first.
Yeah.
It's good news. It's good news for the city. I think anything that's gonna bring people to the city to bring tourism, more people, maybe WNBA players never been to Canada, so it's good to let them experience that sort of stuff. I know NBA players before they really ventured out of the US didn't know anything about Canada, about Toronto, didn't about anything really when they come to that. So that changed. There's a lot more tourism and things like that. So I think it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Jace?
I agree with Uncle Sammy. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Much love to the WNBA. I think the NBA is behind this, pushing this out. So, yeah, man. I just hope they do the right thing and bring it to Toronto and put in the proper support behind it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to see something happen to, like, Vancouver or anything like that.
There you
Montreal, where there's not enough support. Because initially there's a lot of support. But when the team's not doing well,
that's the thing.
You hope you have the support, and it's not about numbers, right? Because the NBA is not really about numbers today. It's really about growing it in the league. So I hope, with Caitlin Clark and all these NBAers or WNBAers, sorry, we start getting some good games, good things on the happening in Toronto. So I agree with it. It's a good thing.
Can we bash one person before we stop talking about Toronto's WNBA team? Can we bash the New York Knicks?
Sure.
So,
go ahead, Uncle Sam.
So
go ahead.
The votes came out. So it passed unanimously for all the WNBA team owners. So the board of directors. And then when it went to the NBA team's board of directors, it was voted 29 for and 1 against. And of course, the team that voted against Toronto getting the team was the New York Knicks.
Yeah.
Well, how low is this team?
That's what I've been saying.
Yeah.
Since the beginning of time, the New York Knicks suck.
Yeah.
Like it just we stole what did we steal last time? They said we accused us of stealing like some kind of coach plays or whatever.
Something like that.
Man, it's still in courts too. So that's the thing. So I think maybe that's a little bit like, I don't know, it's like a scorned girlfriend or something they're acting like. Like I don't understand. They're just voted against it for just that reason, probably. Like, come on.
You know what it is? New York streets are full of rats, and unfortunately that gets all up on their whatever, and that's how they feel. So yeah.
There you go.
And we're not talking about our New York subscribers or anybody who listens to us from New York, of course.
Sam always trying to do damage control.
But that's just being petty. But I guess that's just the attitude of New Yorkers. I don't know.
So what else is going with the WNBA?
So. Well, first off, the WNBA has been killing ratings. Caitlin Clark's first game broke WNBA's season opener ratings. Like they've literally been just on the up and up, right? Okay. And obviously there is a Caitlin Clark effect, just like LeBron James, right? I was young when LeBron was in high school. And when he made his debut, I still remember though, but you guys are a little bit older, so you remember there was a lot of hype, right? Like it was literally like the whole world was watching, him out of high school, making it to the going into the NBA there. So from my point of view, I look at it as the Caitlin Clark effect is obviously benefiting the WNBA.
Right.
Now there's an interesting comment that I read in regards to Caitlin Clark's success. And one of those comments was, if you guys remember, last year NCAA finals was between LSU and Iowa, which was Caitlin Clark's team. And on LSU was Angel Reese. And basically the comment is, Caitlin's success is due to the rivalry she had with Angel Reese. If you guys remember, Angel Reese threw up her ring finger pointing at it and all of that back and forth, that good banter, because it sold the the women's NCAA March Madness. It sold it. People are watching. So do you guys think Caitlin's success, part of her success, is due to the Angel Reese rivalry?
I think yes. I think what the narrative being thrown here is trying to do something very similar to the Larry Bird Magic Johnson rivalry, which started in NCAA and carried forward into to the NBA, in this case WNBA. So I think they're trying to create the narrative of this kind of rivalry and hoping that it'll carry through and show the WNBA, and hopefully
fair enough.
But that's actually a good thing for the sport, because I think that's the time when the NBA was at its low point, and they needed those two
absolutely
to break through, and it did fortunately, and I hope in this case it does.
Yeah. How about you, Sammy? What do you feel there? You think Angel Reese has something to do with this Caitlin's success?
I don't know if she has anything to do with it, but it makes it interesting. So if I'm not mistaken, didn't Angel Reese 2 years ago, didn't her team win the championship over Caitlin Clark's team in college?
Yeah.
And then this year, Caitlin Clark's team ended up winning the championship, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so then now so obviously entering the WNBA, there's going to be that whole thing, because I know they're like clapping in each other's face, and there was a lot of those like antagonist stuff going on, which I love. I absolutely love it. And I did see Angel Reese like tweet something out that was, starting to like poke to start even get the rivalry going again, and then she deleted what she did. I don't remember exactly what it was. Maybe JR knows, but I love it. I hope they're tied to each other. It's like the Magic, Johnson, Larry Bird type of thing. If that can like play out and it's organic, it's not like it's forced. This could be the WNBA's like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird kind of rivalry, which would be the best thing that could happen for the WNBA.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I think with the success that the WNBA has been having now, I think for them this is only to benefit them. And the past two March Madnesses for women's college basketball, people were tuning in because of that rivalry, right? People were tuning in because what was being said in the press conferences and whatnot. But both have come out and said it's all love at the end of the day. It's all just for the sport, right? It's all just for the competitiveness in them. But I think, and seeing clips of Caitlin playing, I mean, she's a beast on her own. And I don't think the Angel Reese rivalry has anything to do with her success. If you're good, you're good. If you're talented, you're talented, right? And the talent will speak for itself.
Right.
And she's been compared to, she's the Steph of, WNBA, and the Steph of back then, college basketball and whatnot. You don't just get called that because of the rivalry you have with someone else. You're being called and being compared to someone else because of your talent.
Okay.
So, but we'll see how the WNBA season goes. Ratings are there. I'm pretty sure sponsorship and ad dollars is soon to be there, right? And I do see, like, last All-Star game, the 3-point shootout, I think we're gonna start to see a little bit more crossover,
yeah.
and it's only to benefit both brands.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Agree with you.
I'm interested to see what's going on. I'm interested to see for the rest of the season, and yeah, can't wait to see the Toronto WNBA team. That'll be fun.
Cool. Hopefully they name it Toronto Huskies. That's my vote.
Oh, that'd be cool. That'd be cool.
But yeah, thank you all for this week.
Yes.
Thank you for joining in the Laugh Kings. We are on a new level. Hope you enjoyed this one. We'll be back soon.
Peace, everyone. Like, subscribe, comment. Love y'all.
Laugh.